Hi, my name is Robert Brown. I live here in Riverside. Um, most everybody that knows me calls me Bubby. Everybody calls me Bubby. I've lived here in Riverside since February of 1997. However, I have historical connections here because a lot of my family lived in Riverside as I was growing up. I grew up actually in Aquabog on Edgar Avenue, but my mom and my dad both had family who lived over here in Riverside. Um, I guess moved. My father's family moved from Cartersville, Virginia, in the early to middle 1920s. It was a family of 13 children. Um, it was my uncle Caney, who lived on Ludlam Avenue. My dad, who lived in Aquabog. There was Wesley, Joseph, Frank, um, Isaiah, and my aunts were Mary, Lucille, Gracie Goodrich, who Goodrich Avenue is named after, um, Lucille, and Priscilla, and they all lived in the Riverhead area. And my Aunt Mary, my Uncle Joe, my Uncle Frank, my Uncle Wesley, my Aunt Gracie, and my Aunt Lucille all lived in Riverside. They grew up in Riverside. And Riverside was such a different community at that time because I can remember walking from my grandmother's house on Osborne Avenue on Sunday afternoons with my cousins, and we'd walk from Osborne Avenue to my Aunt Mary's on Old Quag Road. And the community, it was a vibrant, live community. I mean, um, the houses were well kept. Everybody worked. Everybody had jobs, and I can remember um, coming home from high school after uh, wrestling practice and having to walk to my Aunt Lucille's house, and it's dark. And I just walked in the door, and nobody locked their doors or anything. I mean, only time that that a door might have been locked was like in the spring or in the fall when the wind really blew, and it was just that little hook to hook the screen door. That was the only locks that people had on their doors. And I had moved away from Riverhead from probably 1976 and just moved back to Riverside in the Riverhead area in 1997. And it was really eye opening to see the transformation of Riverside from what it was to what it is now. And only thing I can attribute it to is probably an influx of drugs and stuff that just really wrecked a vibrant live community in this area. And I have I have an idea of what it would look like, but I don't think it would be what everybody else would think because I see it as I saw it. As I can remember the families, kids playing ball in the street, um, kids with their dogs chasing the ball and playing frisbees and stuff out in the street. And it was just a fearless place to live. And to see what it is now is it's sad. It's really really sad to what it is, what it has become, um, and I can easily envision delis and stores and stuff like that there now, which is if that's what the community wants, I'm all for it. But my picture is that historical picture of what Riverside really used to look like.
Can you talk a little bit of what it used to be? What kind of businesses? What is that made it so vibrant? I know that there was more businesses
Yeah,
here.
there was
And approximately what years are we talking about?
for early 50s. In the early 50s, there was Miss Rose Booker had a beauty parlor, um, and her husband Peachy Booker had the cleaning business, and right next door to that was Dave's Diner, and he had built that motel, Peter's Motel, in the back, which he named after his son, Peter Fitzgerald. And across the street was the Bluebird, which was a club that was known up and down the eastern seaboard. I mean, they used to bring buses of steel drum bands out to the Bluebird in the summertime and just have an open party. And it was an excellent restaurant. I mean, people from Town Hall used to come to the Bluebird to have lunches and dinners. The food there was excellent. And across the street from the Bluebird was a pool room, Pop's pool room, and it was a great place for guys my age at that time, which was in my teens to early to middle 20s, to just hang out. It was like a clubhouse where all the guys just used to hang out. There was no alcohol involved. Nobody drank or anything in the pool room. And it was just a great place to be. There was even a guy who had his own cleaning business, but his name was Ed Brown. He used to go house to house and pick up your clothes and take them away and have them cleaned and deliver them back to your house, which was a vibrant business. I mean, and even the diner was excellent food. There was music. It was just that those were the major industries. And then down in Flanders, in the Flanders part, there was a place called Clara's Bar, which was well run, and it was a place to hang out. But as a kid, my parents were church people, so I really didn't know a lot about the Bluebird and the diner and the nighttime activities until I got of age. And then sometimes there was a rep where I'm like, I don't know if I really want to go in there or not, because it wasn't that it was that bad, but it was a combination of the fact that I grew up kind of straight-laced, and some of the things that normal people do, I just was not acquainted with, you know. But it was great growing up in that era at that time with the I love the family connections. I mean, even if a mother planning her dinner, if there was a certain dish that somebody else made that was better than hers, I mean, it would be nothing to share. You know, Sister Mabel, can you make me some collard greens? I know I love the way you do your greens, and it was just this sharing of life, and a lot of times if the parent had to go someplace for a day, it would be nothing. You didn't have to hire a babysitter. I mean, your kid was going to be taken care of. It was that kind of neighborhood, which you can't do now. Say half the time you can't even trust the babysitter. but it's just that sometimes I feel like a dinosaur living in a modern age, because a lot of the stuff that used to be, it just can't be recalled in this era. There are just too many outside contributing factors to that alter people's lives, you know, and it just will never ever get back to that feeling, to that I don't know. It was just so different. It was just so. I really have absolutely no envy for kids that are growing up at this time with the outside influences that are put on them. I think adults have to step up to the plate. A lot of times, parents' control of their kids are taken away from them by legal matters. I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day that threatened to spank his granddaughter. And here's a kid like 7 years old. If you do, I'll call child protection agency, you know. And when I was growing up, everybody had a license to beat your butt. You know, if you misbehaved, everybody was a parent. Everybody was even in school. I was deathly afraid of my teacher calling my home, because when you went to school, whatever the teacher said, that was law. That was law, and now it's absolutely reversed. Parents challenge the teachers. I'm not saying all teachers are always right, but a lot of the times, most teachers, the the welfare of your child is of the utmost import. You know, there are Riverhead school system is like any other school system. It has problems, but for the most part, I think it's a wonderful school system. And okay.